Now, I know everyone's excited for Canelo and Crawford. You know, everything from their dinner with Turkey and the first press conference will be talked about and dissected from top to bottom. But before I come on here and start looking too deep into face-offs, trying to read the energy of both fighters, and before you see me on here trying to find a tell from Turkey's dinner with the whole, well, Crawford's plate was closer to Turkey's plate, Turkey's got Crawford. Oh, Turkey had his arm sleeve up at Canelo's side of the table. That means Canelo's gonna win. Terence Crawford looked worried at the face-off, or Canelo looked uncertain. You know, all that old bullshit. I'd like to highlight one of the most important things fans need to be aware of from here until September 13th, and that is, according to Terence Crawford, there is no rematch clause. Yeah, man, he confirmed it during his interview with Fight Hub TV. They asked him if there's a rematch clause, and he shook his head, simply replying, no. Listen, that's nice to know now rather than later, because at least now we know, depending on the result. There is no okie doke where Turkey would try to have judges score the draw if the fight goes the distance in an attempt to try to sell us a rematch, but it also means let me repeat it again, if Bud goes out there and beats Canelo, we have a heads up now that a rematch will not be a sure thing, even if Canelo requests one. But because Canelo is sure that he will be victorious and even told Crawford that Canelo knows Turkey's rooting for Crawford and that Turkey's gonna be so mad on September 13th, that to me makes to expect for a much better fight than we might be anticipating. Because Crawford told Canelo that those belts are going home with him and there's nothing Canelo will be able to do about it. Both fighters were transparent and consistent with their aura of supreme confidence that we always see them with, and neither was shy to let the other know how shit's gonna go down in September. Now, personally, my favorite part of the whole press conference was when Bud told Canelo he sees him, and Canelo knows that he's different from any of the other fighters Canelo's been facing. When Canelo replied with that, I see you too, and no, you don't look different, you're nothing different. To which Crawford continued, alright, you gon' see. That little exchange was enough for me to want to pay them pay-per-view price for a Netflix fight. And the only reason most fans and spectators gotta tip their hats to his excellency is because, in case you haven't watched Crawford's interview with Mike Coppinger, Crawford admitted that Turkey didn't want this fight for him, and I'm sure that's because of the size difference. But since Turkey did have enough belief in Crawford to make this fight, well then, it makes sense why Canelo would think Turkey's pulling for Bud. Not to mention that the two were holding hands with interlocked fingers for the first official announcement, but shit, hey, take my money now, bruh. Look, you can call it a mismatch all you want, because after all, it's like they always say, there's only one way to find out. So let's just see what they have in store for press conference number 2 in New York. Could we be at the same temp, or will things get a little heated? Pop off.
Me talking with Turkey and Turkey not wanting to fight. And me like, yeah, this is the fight that I want, being that, you know, he's the last great fighter of our era. That's just like, you know what I mean, me fighting a Pacquiao, Mayweather, De La Hoya, and things like that. So that's why I wanted to fight.